The other day, I made a post about how I was getting more frustrated at what's going on in society right now, in the world, more frustrated at how I'm seeing relationships being torn apart between friends who have known each other for years, for decades, people who have been through thick and thin together. They're ripping each other apart because of what's going on in our political and social landscape. And as a personal trainer and a registered dietitian, I shouldn't really have a scope of practice. I shouldn't have any skin in this game. I'm responsible for helping my clients and people I interact with look, move, and feel better. But at the same time, I couldn't help but become frustrated because I know what's going on in our world right now can also be related to our mental and emotional health. And if I'm getting frustrated over what's going on right now because I feel helpless and lost, then I felt compelled to talk about it. I made this post, I got some good reactions. I spoke to a couple of people off the record. They said that the post was good, it resonated with them, I was spot on, and they felt the same way. And while this post isn't going to be directly related to how to help you lose weight, I think we can all come to the conclusion that many of us are probably more anxious. Many of us are probably feeling similar to how I'm feeling. And I hope we can open up the line for discussion to see if we can have some more heart-to-heart conversations with each other, with ourselves, with our loved ones, to make the world a better place, one conversation at a time. I don't know, maybe I'm just being naive. That's going to be my intention with this. So here's the post. I'm gonna interject a little bit because my thoughts have expanded since I made this post. According to stats, the average 16 to 24-year-old spends over 3 hours per day on social media. Earlier when I mentioned how people are ripping themselves apart, I was getting frustrated at what they were ripping themselves apart with, but most importantly, how they were doing it and where they were doing it. They were doing it on social media. The average American spends almost 7 years of their lives on social media. 7 years. What do you think you can accomplish in 7 years if you put as much heart, focus, and energy into it as you did social media? Perhaps you can have a college degree. Perhaps you can learn a new skill. Perhaps you can do something, make more money, and just become a better person. Work on yourself a little bit more. And that's exactly what I found myself doing. That's a big reason why I was finding myself getting more frustrated. I found myself on social media for an average of 3 hours per day, and on some days over 4 hours per day. 4 hours per day. That is the average amount of time somebody actually engages in work if they work full time at a company, at a desk job. And what did I get out of it? As I mentioned earlier, more anger. I got more frustrated. I became more anxious. I became more depressed. I became nihilistic. I became more desperate. I experienced more despair. I didn't know what the future looked like. I became scared and fearful for not only my future, but the future of my children and their children and every other children that have to go through whatever we're going on right now. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe I'm being overly dramatic. Maybe I was watching the news too much. Maybe I was on social media too much. And I got hardly anything constructive out of it. I found myself wanting to engage in debates I had no business engaging in. I found myself wanting to speak my opinion, but just kept my mouth shut. What did I do? And where was the breaking point? Well, the breaking point was when my wife and I had a conversation, and she said, I cannot believe you are spending so much time on useless, meaningless crap on social media. For me, I thought, by engaging in these debates, by getting up to date on what's going on in the world, I was fulfilling my own perceived righteousness. I felt that I was being virtuous, that I was doing my part. And I'm not saying that people who are contributing to the social landscape isn't doing their part, but I felt in my heart of hearts that I was doing something right. And I knew me becoming more frustrated and angry was just part of the course. It was a necessary compromise for me to try to enact the change that I want to see in this world, right? Because there's that quote, if you want, be the change you want to see in the world. And that's what I thought I was doing. But it wasn't working, at least in the short term. I was suffering immensely for it, and I didn't know if there was going to be a payoff. So instead, I took her words to heart, and I started focusing on having more meaningful conversations with individual and small groups of people. My clients, my friends, having more balanced and even conversations where we talked about different topics and we were able to hash them out in a diplomatic, respectful way. We were debating and discussing ideas. And for once, I walked away more hopeful for the future, despite our differing opinions. Now, of course, I wasn't trying to change anyone else's opinion, and I wasn't expecting them to change my opinions. In fact, I don't really have an opinion, because my opinions aren't really based on hardcore evidence and facts, because I'm probably getting my evidence and facts from the same places that they're getting their evidence and facts from. But I thought just discussing our ideas and what we thought about the whole situation was really beneficial. And again, I was really hopeful for the future, even if we didn't see things the same way. I focused on creating meaningful content for my clients. I did better at reading books of varying perspectives. I started to dive into history a little bit more. I found it pretty amazing. I started to appreciate the smaller things in life. And interestingly enough, just staying off of social media for a week, or at least reducing my consumption time from 3 to 4 hours per day to 30 minutes per day, and focusing on what's around me, focusing on the people around me, my emotional and mental health improved dramatically. And even before all of this, my emotional and mental health were pretty good, because I thought that I was kind of a dedicated and disciplined Stoic. But I found myself slipping in the department of Stoicism during this pandemic. When I was bored, or not necessarily bored, when I thought I was bored. And I guess when you're bored, you tend to do some very drastic things. Started to get on social media a little bit more. But as I started to really focus on my immediate surroundings, having a little bit more appreciation, not necessarily gratefulness, but just appreciation for what's going on around me, just the beauty of nature, and focusing my time and energy on the things that actually matter, things I have immediate control over, I found my mental and emotional health getting much better. And as I entered conversations, I entered it less for trying to change somebody's opinion, and more about trying to understand their opinion, understand their perspective. So for the sake of our emotional and mental health, I wonder, what else can we do to make a meaningful impact on those close to us, a beneficial impact on those close to us? And if we do make a beneficial and meaningful impact on them in a respectful and diplomatic way, can we make this world a better place, one conversation at a time? This is David Strong by Lee. I hope this is going to be helpful. I hope this was helpful. This is what I found myself struggling, battling, combating with for the past few weeks. I'm glad I got this off of my chest, because this is something that I was concerned and worried about. If you listened all the way up to this point, thank you very much. This is David Strong by Lee. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you want to share your stories and perspectives, shoot them over to me, david@strongbylee.com. If you're one of my clients or close friends, you know exactly how to reach me. Call me on my phone, give me a text, shoot me a message, shoot me an email, whatever. Let's connect. This is David Strong by Lee. Until next time, be strong.